Hey everybody, welcome to day 410. 410, rich versus poor mindset. Today is a 11-minute video from Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, I've never met Robert Kiyosaki. I'd like to someday because I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was an intern, maybe fourth year of med school intern. And it was my very first self-help book I read, and it really changed my life. It changed how I looked at money and houses and real estate, and it really got me into the real estate bug. And more importantly, though, it got me into the personal development mindset, and that led me down a rabbit hole. And so, Robert Kiyosaki's been doing this for a long time. He made it big, started talking to Oprah and things like that. And that would have been, I was an intern, so 2000-ish, and, as he's gotten older, he's an ex-Marine helicopter pilot. And he's been shot down. He tells these war stories. He went to Vietnam, and he was shot down like 2 or 3 times, and survived. And so he's pretty gritty. But now that he's gotten older, some of his more recent broadcasts and YouTube videos and stuff, pretty funny. Especially with the COVID shutdown, he feels like a blue state's a communist state. He actually says it. If you live in a blue state, you live in a communist state. He's 4th generation Japanese Hawaiian, so he's not even Asian. He's he had 2 uncles who served in World War II, or no, 7 uncles served in World War II, and so he's very much American. So don't let his Asian looks fool you. He's very much American. Well, anyway, I really like today's video, because it's 11 minutes talking about mindset. Tip number 1. In today's video, Robert Kiyosaki says obsolete thinking leads to obsolete results. I would tell you that obsolete thinking leads to disastrous results. Disastrous. Okay? Obsolete thinking leads to disastrous results. Let's get very clear about this, man. Like, it used to be, if you had obsolete thinking, you could get by, right? Because the time scale of change was so much slower. Now with the internet, social media, and instant news and instant ticker talk, and you can just press a button and buy stocks and do this and post, and it can literally go across the globe in a matter of seconds. The time scale of change is so rapid that obsolete information, obsolete thinking will give you disastrous results now. You used to could get along. I've told this story before, but when I was an intern as a resident, they were just really starting to adopt laparoscopic gallbladder removals. And some of y'all just, have had it before. Usually an incision in your belly button and then 3 other incisions along the rib cage, right? I got to the point where I could do the gallbladder with really much just 1 incision in the belly button. But when I was an intern, there was a very nice older surgeon. He was probably in his early 60s. And I had a younger attending, probably in his early 40s, who was starting to do gallbladders. People were starting to go to laparoscopic gallbladders. And this really nice older surgeon, 60 years old, he was such a good surgeon. He made a tiny incision underneath the rib cage that, if you added it all up, was probably the same amount of length, scar tissue length, as the 4 holes that the laparoscopic surgeon would make. He would make a little tiny incision. He was so good. And he would tell patients, I make this little tiny incision. I'll keep you in the hospital 2 nights. You'll recover. It'll go great. And he's like, I've done this for 30 years, and he had a great bedside manner. And I was an intern. 1 year later, he was out of business. 1 year later, this was in 2000. 1 year later, he was out of business. He's like, You know, all the referrals were going to the laparoscopic surgeons, and he just felt like he was too old to do it, and so he had enough. He had enough of the surgeon lifestyle. He had enough of working all the time. I guess he had enough money in the bank. I guess he survived the dot-com bust, and he just quit. He's like, I'm just too old. He's just quit. Now, if that happened in today, it wouldn't take a year. And he'd probably been fighting it for 4 or 5 years, quite honestly, as a trend. But it just came to a head around 2000. But he'd probably been fighting that trend for a long time. If 5 years earlier he had decided to learn laparoscopy and, you know, suffer some bad outcomes temporarily, like, he probably would still be in business. But so he was gone. Disastrous, obsolete thinking will lead to disastrous results. So what the fuck does this have to do with weight loss surgery, Dr. V? I follow you for weight loss, Dr. V. You know, this is not helping me. Really? It's not helping you? What? Watch this. All right. Can we all agree? Who knows? Put a dollar sign in the comment section if you know that buying a brand new car is one of the worst financial things you can do. Now, I've bought a brand new car back when I was in residency. I didn't know any better, you know, and I fell for that new car smell. But doesn't everybody here know now that if you buy a brand new car and you're the first owner, there's 10 miles on the odometer, and the second you drive it off the lot, you've lost $2,000. It's gone. And if you change your mind and you're like, I want to give it back, and they go, sure, we'll take it back. And let's say you paid $50,000 for this new car. They're like, we'll buy it back for 48. And you go, I just drove it around the block. What do you mean? And they'll say, sorry, it's not new anymore. It's not new anymore. So everybody knows. But why do people still sell cars? Buy brand new cars? Obsolete thinking. You sit there and think, no, it's impulse, it's this or that. Like, no, it's obsolete thinking. What leads to it, so what happens is, even though the price of cars have gone up and up and up, man, like I talk about Ford pickup trucks now are like $65,000, $80,000. I saw a $100,000 Ford F-150. How can you buy? Who are these people buying a $100,000 pickup truck? That's fucking crazy, right? So then what the car industry has done is like realize that people just want the monthly payment. So they've stretched, they'll take car loans out to 7, 8 years now. I remember when I was a little kid, my dad told me, Duck, never take a car loan more than 3 years. 3 years, you know? So that's what's happening. It's obsolete thinking, okay? So, but Dr. Vuong, you still didn't tell me what this had to do with weight loss. All right? Well, put a 1 in the comment section if you know that what they've taught you in your weight loss program doesn't make any sense, like protein shakes. Put a 1 in the comment section if you now realize that trying to get 80, 90 grams of protein a day is stupid. Much less impossible. Your body doesn't even process that much protein in a day. You'll just poop it out and pee it out, depending on how it breaks it down, right? So put a 1 in the comment section if you realize that, like, your bariatric program is telling you wrong stuff, like eat hamburger patties without the bun. My favorite is a good option is Wendy's chili. That's not even meat. It's Wendy's. It's fast food, you know? So, but Dr. V, if that's true, then why are they telling us this? Who knows the answer? Come on, you know the answer. Obsolete thinking. This whole protein mess is from stupid data back in the 70s when they took the data from a bypass surgery that we don't do anymore called the jejunal bypass, the JIB, J-I-B. It's such an extreme bypass that patients were getting so malnourished, and they followed their protein levels, and they're like, oh, their protein level's low. We've got to up their protein in their intake. This surgery was so disastrous that people had liver failure. People went blind. You think if food gets stuck, you've had a bad complication. You think if your skin incision comes apart, you're panicking. You think if your lap band's too tight, you're like upset. You're throwing up. Imagine waking up and going blind. People were losing their teeth. They were having osteoporosis. They were going into acute liver failure. That's the JIB. That's the data that tells us you have to eat 80, 90, 100 grams of protein. Well then, if you know this, Dr. V, then why don't these other people know that? Well, I don't fucking know. I mean, I know not to buy a new car. Why do people still buy new cars? I know that right now you should be selling a house, not buying a house. Why are people buying houses? For every seller, there's a buyer. So if the real estate market's hot, in other words, hot for sellers, not hot for buyers, then for every seller who's winning, there's one buyer who's losing. I ramble. But so basically you have these big programs and these surgeons, they're only as good as what they're taught. Jim Rohn says, it's possible to be sincerely wrong. They want you to be successful. Jim Rohn says, you listen to me talk, I hope you find me sincere. Just like, I don't know where you are in your stage of life watching me right now, but I hope you'll find that I'm sincere. Like, I sincerely want you to succeed. I sincerely want you to be happy. I sincerely want you to be amazingly wealthy. But you got to take what I say and kind of, balance it out with other things. Listen to other people, other mentors, other talking heads, and decide what's right for you. Why? Because it's possible for me to be sincerely wrong. I could be sincerely wrong about the housing market. I don't think I am. I could be sincerely wrong about the upcoming market crash. I don't think I am. It's a run-up right now. It's a mother of all run-ups. And you just don't know how long this run-up's gonna last. But it will come down. I mean, everyone knows it deep down. But what you have is FOMO. You have the fear of missing out. You're worried that it's gonna keep going up, and you're looking at your 401k that went up 40% this year, and you're like, it's gotta go up a little bit more. But no, it's about to tank. I mean, I'm talking 70, 80% in the stock market. I think the stock market will go from 35,000 down to 15, down to 10,000 level, man. I'm telling you. But I could be wrong. And your surgeons are sincerely wrong. Just like we no longer do the JIB. We were sincerely wrong. We really don't do long limb Roux-en-Y bypasses unless someone needs a revision. The vast majority of surgeons like to start with a sleeve. That's it, And in the future, that might change. We might change it to a minigastric bypass. We might change, but whatever it is, this is what's called science. It changes. So obsolete thinking gives disastrous results. I'm pretty highly educated, high school, 4.5 years of college because I was a little bit of a partier, 4 years of med school, 5 years of residency, and then just, continually going to courses after that. So I'm highly trained. And I'm telling you right now, as I sit here, today is April 14th, 2021, I don't know if we ever need to go to college. Unless you want to become a lawyer, unless you want to become a doctor or a nurse or things that require an actual degree. But there's really no reason to go to college to get a social studies degree or a Dead Poet Society degree. There's really no need for that. It's not going to benefit you. If you want to become an English teacher, then go get a degree in English, but it's not going to help you. In fact, I'll give you a prediction right now. In the future, you're gonna go to Google University. By that I mean these massive companies like Google and Amazon and Facebook will actually have a designated curriculum, Google for example, where you can enroll and you'll get a degree, an actual Google degree, and you will be qualified for any sort of computer program engineering, software development, etc. job. And Google, this is brilliant by the way, will get pick of the best students. And you don't have to spend 4 years at a stupid university. They will like have it down to like a year. You do a year degree and boom, you are qualified. Think about that, wasting 3 years of your life partying. There's a university south of Austin. They've changed their names a couple times, but it used to be called Southwest Texas State University. And their motto on their t-shirt said, Southwest Texas State University, the best 5 or 6 years of your life. Because it was known as a party school. It was not a hard school. I mean, it's a low tier school, but it's known as a party school in Texas. And it was like the best 5 or 6 years of your life. Obsolete thinking will give you disastrous results. So Robert Kiyosaki says, you know, work hard, go to school, get a degree, get a job, stay in that job for 20 years, invest for the long term, hope and pray, buy a house, buy one dream house, and hope and pray it goes up, right? And you're stuck there forever. Like, that's obsolete thinking. It's obsolete thinking. Well, Dr. Vuong, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. Well, you might not have a choice. You know, that's number one. You might not have a choice. But what he really means is tip number 2. Entrepreneurialism is a mindset. It's okay to get a paycheck. You just can't let it fuck up your mind. I'll give you a personal example. This is hard for me to say. When in 2005 I finished residency, I had a lot of job interviews. I could have gotten hired by a company. I could have by a hospital. I could have gotten hired, you know, in a group of surgeons. I could have been hired by a multi-specialty medical practice, and I chose the worst option. I chose to go solo private practice with an income guarantee from a hospital that recruited me. That was a forgiveness guarantee. This is stupid, right? As long as I stayed in the community for like 5 years, every year they would forgive my debt. And I was like, yeah, you know, because that was the entrepreneurial side of me. I want to be my own boss. I had these ideas. I wanted this beautiful waiting room. I wanted my patients to have an amazing experience from the second they walked in the front door. They have a very comfortable waiting room with nice furniture. You know, it was very stylish. The exam rooms were nice and big and all that sort of stuff. So I wanted them to have a great experience. And that was my entrepreneurial side. Well, the income guarantee was only for 1 year. And 9 months into it, I realized I wasn't gonna make payroll. I was like, I can't make it. What you guys promised me is not true. You know, you said it was 10% uninsured in the emergency room. It's 40% uninsured. I don't know where you're getting this data, right? So I learned all this stuff. And that's when I started looking into bariatrics because, you know, general surgery wasn't working. But that was my entrepreneurial side fucking me up. And so eventually I had $4 million worth of real estate because I never wanted to depend on medicine to make any money, because I always felt like it corrupted the doctor-patient experience. So I started investing in real estate because that's what my daddy did. And then Hurricane Ike wiped me out in 2008, followed by preceded by the real estate crash. And so I was wiped out. So what did I do? I had to get a job. I got a job in this little town in Illinois for a couple of years, and then I got the director of bariatrics position in Albuquerque for the next 5 years. And for that time period, for that 7-year time period, I really dove into personal development. I took the paycheck. Here's the tip, right? I took the paycheck, but I kept the entrepreneurial mind. Who understands what I'm saying? A lot of you guys watching me right now, you think this market's gonna go up forever. You've made a few bucks on Bitcoin, and you're thinking, oh, I'm a badass entrepreneur. Yeah, I did the same fucking thing back in 2000 and again in 2008, okay? I was flipping houses during residency, you know, so I've been there, trust me. Um, the next tip for you is you need to keep the entrepreneurial mindset, but it's okay to take the paycheck. Take the paycheck. So as a director of bariatrics, I was paid very well. You know, the first position I was paid as a general surgeon, making $300,000 a year, but that was, you know, pre-tax. You know, government's going to take half of that, so I'm making 150, which people go sit there and go, well, that's still really good, Dr. V, but not when you're going through bankruptcy and you got to pay off all this debt and shit. So you know, I worked really hard for 7 years. I never really went on vacation. If I did, it was always tied into some sort of medical conference or some sort of training, so I could have a write-off on that. And you know, I worked day and night, but I didn't work on the job. I worked on myself. This is what Jim Rohn says. You know, I worked harder on myself than I did on my job, which is pretty tough because I'm director of bariatrics. I work really hard. I worked 70-hour weeks, but I worked harder on myself. So after, you know, full day at the hospital, I would go to a restaurant, open up my laptop and start writing my next book or learning about web pages. Because, you know, I know you're judging me by how I look, but I'm not good with computers. Everyone thinks like I'm all tech savvy. I wasn't. I mean, I was in the biosciences. All my friends who went into computer systems, like they, you know, and engineering, they're the techie ones. Like I can turn on a laptop and that's about it, you know. And who knows this trick? If your laptop freezes up, the only thing I knew how to do was take out the battery. That was it. Put the battery back in, reboot it. That's all I knew how to do. So I had to learn all this stuff. Does that make sense? Entrepreneurialism is a mindset. And the mindset is, it's not so much like I can't work for a man. I can't work for a business. I have to be my own boss. I have to be, you know, I have to run my own business. A lot of people think, oh well, I'm not entrepreneurial because I don't want to run my own business. That's not it. Entrepreneurialism is a mindset that says I know it's about me. You know, I know I need to control this, right? Like I know that at any time my employer, while I love them and I appreciate the paycheck, could fire me or downsize or go out of business, or the pension plan could go away. All these pension plans are going away, by the way, right? So it's this mindset that says I've got to get better. I got to improve. Obsolete thinking leads to disastrous results now, okay? If you are still thinking, what the fuck's that have to do with weight loss surgery, Dr. V? If you still think that eating healthy is too expensive, you will regain the weight. If you think that money has nothing to do with your weight loss journey, you will regain the weight. And you can argue with me left and right. I'd rather you just get out of the fucking group. I'd rather just have you just leave, just cancel, just go. Because I can't help you, you know? You're not ready to hear it. You know, money gives you choices. It gives you options. Some people go, Dr. V loves money too much. There's more to life than money, Dr. V. Like, what the fuck? You don't fucking know me. You know, I don't sit there and judge you. That statement is really judgy. There's more to life than money, Dr. V. I'm a fucking refugee. You don't think I know that? You don't think I know that shelter's important? You know, I never saw my mom again after I left Vietnam. You don't think I fucking know, like, family and relationships is important? What the fuck's wrong with you? You know, I drove this beat up white Chevy pickup truck because I was $4 million in debt and they were coming after me. And that was all the car I could afford. You don't think I know? Come on. That's what this is all about. You know, I've been retired almost 3 years. It was about 3 years ago that I announced my retirement that the program was closing. It was about this time 3 years ago, in 2018. And it made up a lot of stink and stir and a lot of sad, patients and stuff, which, I'm glad they were sad. I was leaving, not happy I was leaving. But three years later, I still get up at 6 every day. For the first year, I was still getting up at 5 every day. Now I get up at 6 every day. I don't sleep in. I still work, and I'm happier now than ever. I work less and I make more money now than ever. Why? It's a mindset. Does that make sense? If you're regaining weight, it's a fucking mindset. I'm trying to tell you. All right, next tip. This one's really important. This one's really important that you understand. Broke, here's tip number 4. Broke is a temporary physical condition. Broke is a temporary physical condition. Poor is a mindset. I was broke in 2008 and 9 and 10 and 11 until I got my first paycheck. I didn't get my first fucking paycheck as a surgeon until 2011. Can you believe that? I was in private practice from 2005 to 2011 and never took a salary, never took a paycheck for myself. I didn't know how to do it. I couldn't do it. No one else would get paid if I did that. I had to live on borrowed money. That's fucking sad. 2011, how old am I at that point? Like 30, 72, 30, it was like 39? God damn, is that right? Before I got my first paycheck. It's fucking crazy, And then I was like, there's $10,000 in my bank account. What the hell? That's a paycheck. It's like, what? Well, that's gonna come again? You mean that's gonna come again in 2 weeks? Like, oh damn. I want you to understand this. Broke is a temporary physical state. But poor is a mindset. And you can't be poor. Don't ever be poor. Be broke. So I was broke in 2011. Now I'm not broke. I'm not uber rich, but I'm pretty well off. I'm doing all right. But the whole time, I kept my rich mindset. Does that make sense? And I'm trying to build it. I'm trying to make it go bigger and bigger, bigger. Okay? I'll give you another example. Obesity is a mindset. I have to tell y'all that with a lot of love. And y'all know it is. Comment if you agree. Can I have an amen if you agree? Obesity is first and foremost a mindset. I'm not saying that genetics isn't important. I'm not saying that calories in, calories out is not important. I'm not saying that quality foods and fast food and stress and emotions not important. But obesity is first and foremost a mindset. And it's all of that. I'm stressed out. That's a mindset. I'm an emotional eater. That's a mindset. I'm a boredom eater. That's a fucking mindset. Eating healthy is too expensive. That's a mindset. I need to go to the gym, but I'm unmotivated. That's a mindset. These are my favorite foods. That's a mindset. My mom, this is what my mom taught me how to cook. That's a mindset. My dad abused me. That's a mindset. My husband was verbally abusive and I gained all this weight to protect myself. That's a fucking mindset. You could have also hired an attorney and taken him for half of his assets, which was probably not much. See, that's a different mindset. Okay? So poor is a mindset. And I'm trying to get you to understand rich is a mindset. Now, rich so let me give you this tip next one. A lot of y'all are triggered because when I say rich versus poor, you automatically fucking assume that I'm talking about money. Yeah, money is one part of it, but a rich mindset also involves equanimity and peace and joy. I have an abundance mindset about experiences, adventures, hugs, playing. I'm basically a stay-at-home dad, tickling my little girl, gardening. That's doing what the fuck I want is a rich mindset. You understand what I'm saying? My health, running, staying thin. I could lose 10 pounds from COVID. So I'll freely admit that. But that's a mindset too. So I want you to understand that. I want you to understand that. A lot of people are triggered and bothered when I say a rich mindset because they automatically assume that I'm talking about money. And so I get stupid comments like, money's not everything. Money's not important. Money doesn't make you happy. Fucking broke doesn't make you happy. Does broke make you happy? Money can't buy you happiness, Dr. V. Broke doesn't buy anything else. Show me what broke buys you. Broke doesn't buy you happiness. What the fuck's wrong with you and your logic, right? But you can fix it, is my point. You can fix it, is my point. Obsolete thinking is disastrous. Disastrous. All right, let me show you how obsolete you are. I love you. I love you, but let me give you an obsolete example. On average, how many calories a day do they tell y'all to eat? Dr. Vuong, this is a weight loss journey. I follow you for weight loss advice. All right, well, let me tell you. On average, how many calories a day do they tell you to eat? So when you read a nutritional label, because I know you listen to your doctor, you follow your nutritionist, and you went to the class where they taught you to read the back of a nutrition label, and there's always this little asterisk at the bottom. There's always a star that says based on a blank calorie a day diet. What's that blank? Fill in the blank. Based on how many calories a day? Because that's the usual recommended number of calories a day. Who knows the answer? Write in your answer. See, y'all need to go look at your nutritional labels. It always has an asterisk that says based on a 2,000 calorie a day diet. 2,000. So the general rule for decades has been you need to eat about 2,000 calories a day. A 2,000 calorie a day diet is what's healthy. Look at y'all forgetting all these answers. All right, so all your vitamin levels, like this has 50% of your vitamin D or 20% of your vitamin C. That's based on a 2,000 calorie a day diet. Well, my friend Steve Lloyd is fucking 6 foot tall. Steve Sims is 6'3". I'm 5'8" before I cut off my hair. I'm 5'9" when I first met Erica. Like, hey babe, I'm 5'9". With my hair straight up. Chris Nago, I love the man, but he might be 5'5" on a good day. And those are just guys. So all of us gonna eat 2,000 calories a day? Hell no, right? So, but let me show you your obsolete thinking. Back around 2015, the USDA decreased their recommendation for women from 2,000 calories a day down to how much? Who knows the answer to this? Some people might say 1,900, 1,800. The new recommendation around 2015 from the USDA for women was 1,650. 1,650 a day for the average American woman to maintain the same weight, not to lose weight, to maintain the same weight. Now, why do diets fail? This is an example of your obsolete thinking. Now, let me ask you another question. How many calories does a large McDonald's chocolate milkshake have? Who knows the answer to this? Because you can look it up on their website. The large McDonald's chocolate milkshake has 1,050 calories. 1,050 calories. So you fucking drink that and you've blown your whole, and that's just this milkshake. That doesn't count your fries, your hamburger, your Diet Coke, because you know you're fucking on a diet. You add all that together, it's something like 2,500 calories. You've like almost doubled your daily allowance just to maintain the weight. So why do diets fail, Dr. V? Because chances are you went from eating 3,000 calories a day. The average diet decreases your caloric intake to around 1,500 calories. It's 1,500 calories for the average diet. If you want to do a really strict Atkins diet, that takes you down to about 1,300 calories a day. 1,300. So for the first week, if you go from 2,500, 3,000 calories a day, and you have all this water weight around your ankles, you're going to drop 7, 8 pounds that first week. Amen? Second week, you'll drop up 2 pounds of real weight. Third week, you'll drop a pound. At the end of the month, you're fucking like excited because you've lost 12 pounds for that month. But then the 5th week, you're like, oh, I stalled. Because now you're at the weight where the number of calories you're supposed to be at. Around 1,500. Who understands what I'm trying to say? This is obsolete thinking. Your diets fail because it's based on obsolete thinking. The fact that you still say, oh, I eat low carbs. I'm limiting my carbs. Carbs are evil. The fact that you are still saying that shows me that you are still dealing with obsolete thinking. They're like, oh, I don't eat any carbs. The fuck you do? Carbs are everywhere. Carbs are in everything. So the fact that you sit there and go, I don't eat carbs, is a fucking lie. It's a lie. You understand what I'm saying? So until you write it down, and everything you put in your mouth, I don't care if it's at midnight, I don't care, you have all sorts of reasons. Well, if you eat it while you're driving, it doesn't count. If you eat it while you're standing up by the sink, it doesn't count. If you eat it while you're dumping it into the garbage disposal, it doesn't count. If you eat it, when no one's watching, it doesn't count. If you eat it in the closet, it doesn't count. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Add up the calories. Because you realize how many calories, if you are staying at 300 pounds, I'm not picking on anybody, but if you really have been stuck at 300 pounds for over a year, dude, you're eating a lot more calories than you think, okay? Just the first thing you can do is just admit it. Admit it. I'll give you a personal example. So I get this job in this little town in Illinois, and I'm getting paid, $10,000 or so. It was like $9,000 or so every 2 weeks, right? That's after taxes, right? Every 2 weeks. And I'm feeling pretty good about it. And I go, and I notice, like, why is my money not going up? Like, why is my savings not going up? After a few months, I'm like, I don't spend it. I don't have a bunch of toys. I just declared bankruptcy. I'm trying to pay off all this stuff. And then I was so frustrated 6 months into this job. Like, I had no savings. My savings was up to maybe $1,000, like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 after 6 months of not spending any money. So what happened? After I was so punch drunk, I was so screwed up in my head that I actually had not looked at any bank statements for years. So I finally sat down and I started writing down, okay, off the top of my head, approximately how much is my rent? This. How much is that? How much? And I wrote down all my expenses. And after about 10 minutes, I was like shell shocked, dude. I'm like, I gotta walk away. I got up, I walked away, and I left it on the table. I walked by it. Next day, I was like, oh, I forgot this. I forgot my car insurance. Fuck no. I put down my car insurance, and then I walk away. And then and then I was like, oh my God, I forgot Kizzy's private school. Private school is $20,000 a year. Holy shit. I write that down. So I divide, roughly 12, so roughly $2,000 a month, put $1,800 a month, whatever. It adds up to $15,000. $15,000 a month. And that didn't really, I was like, what? Because I didn't know it inside my head. So that's why my savings wasn't going up, because my outgo was still so much higher than my income. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? So until you sit down and write it, you don't know. What does this have to do with rich versus poor mindset, Dr. V? Last tip. This has to do with every area of your life. Every area of your life. Can I have an amen? If your marriage is not going the way you want it to go, it's because you have the wrong mindset. You have a poor mindset. You have a I don't deserve love mindset. You have a my husband, my spouse doesn't treat me good enough mindset. You have relationship issues. It's a mindset. You don't like the way people talk to you. You have a I don't deserve it mindset. I don't deserve to be treated well mindset. If you have had weight loss surgery and you are still going to McDonald's, you have a I am broke, I am poor mindset. I am not worthy mindset. Does this make sense? And the best thing you can do is start thinking to yourself. Start writing down the numbers. Let me give you a bonus tip, right? Elevator tip, let's do this. Dr. V, well, how do I know? How do I gauge my mindset? You motherfuckers didn't watch yesterday's video. You guys didn't write the quiz. You didn't write down all the numbers. You know, it's 17 items. How did you score out of 17? I scored 15, and then I took away a point. I'm down to 14. But most of you motherfuckers didn't even write down. You didn't even bother doing it. You understand what I'm saying? So here's your elevator tip. Numbers don't fucking lie, unless they lie. But numbers don't lie for the most part. You write it down, the numbers don't lie. If you're honest about your food intake, the numbers won't lie. If you're honest about your spending, the numbers won't lie. It will make sense, you know? Okay. So your elevator tip is the numbers don't lie, and you just haven't put the numbers down. I'm telling y'all, you haven't put the numbers down. You haven't put the numbers down about your sleep. Oh no, Dr. Vuong, I sleep good. I don't really sleep that well. What's not that well? I get up a few times during the night. What's a few fucking times? Like, you don't realize, unless you have a sleep study, you don't realize that you stop breathing 10 minutes every hour, 10 times every hour. And you're not even getting good sleep. You're not getting quality sleep. Of the 10 hours you're lying in bed, you're actually only asleep 4 hours. And now you're fucking wondering why you're tired. See, unless you measure it, unless you write it down, you don't really effing know, man. You don't really know. Does that make sense? But you're just like me. You're just like me. You're so punch drunk, man. You're so in denial. You don't want to open the pink envelopes. You don't want to check your bank account to see all the overdrafts and withdrawal fees. You don't want to answer that phone call. You know who I'm talking about. Because you know it's a creditor. You know it's somebody who's going to try to, threaten you, collection agency, make you feel bad again. You don't want to go back to your doctor's office because you don't want to step on that scale. Because you make up all sorts of reasons. Well, I only see him for 2 minutes. He pops in and out. I spend most of the time with his nurse, so it's not worth my time. I've got to drive an hour. I got to drive 10 minutes. I got to drive 2. I sit in the waiting room for an hour to see him for 7 minutes. Dude. But he could really explain why you have heartburn. Why you're drinking milk, hello, to quench your heartburn, hello, because you stuffed yourself, because you have a stricture in your bypass, because your sleeve's too tight, because your lap band's too tight, hello. But no, I gotta drink my milk. That's the only thing that helps with this heartburn. But I don't have time to go see my surgeon. Really? Really? Does that make sense? Oh, my kids are gonna be kids. My kid just won't listen to me. My kid just won't sit down and do homework. My kid just won't. Really? Or is it you not valuing yourself to take a parenting course or to fucking watch Super Nanny for free on YouTube? You understand what I'm saying? You're in denial. It's too painful. It's really painful when you regain 10 pounds. It's really, really painful when you regained 40 pounds. It's really painful when you're going through your second divorce or your third divorce and you go, my third divorce? Really? Really, Karen? When am I gonna learn? The third time, fourth time, fifth time your check bounces Doesn't clear. Late fees. Come on. Come on. Let's get serious. All right. I love you guys.